What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe. I hope you had a great weekend. It is time now for the Monday edition of the weather update for Monday, October 21st, 2024. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do weather updates on weather happenings across the U.S., weather records that may be occurring around the world, and of course the future weather for, say, the next 7 to 10 days. So if you're new to my channel, maybe it's the first time you clicked onto the video, consider subscribing down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell to be notified of my future videos. Share these videos with anyone you know, all across social media. Get the word out there. There's someone who does low hype weather updates for the United States and sometimes around the world. And of course, leave all your comments and questions down below. And that really is my goal. I focus on things that are really important, that actually probably will happen, not things that are often the misty, distant future that are, well, could happen, but, oh, well, if I talk about this, I get more views. No, that's not what I'm about here. I'm about factual reality, and we have to talk about something that was reality and did happen over the weekend. The majority of the United States was relatively quiet. Here in the Northeast, I'm in Philadelphia. Here in the Northeast, it was really dry. There was not even a cloud in the sky. Can't say the same for New Mexico. In Roswell, New Mexico, their upper level low led to some tremendous flooding. And I talked about this last week, how there was the potential for high amounts of rainfall in a short period of time. But what makes it even crazier is Roswell, New Mexico, which is in southeast New Mexico, had flooding rainfall. To their northwest, there was snow that fell. Yes, talk about crazy. And take a look at this. 2 people are now dead from this flooding. I mean, it really is devastating. You will see here. Look at this flooding in this picture of this. Well, it's video, but you get the idea here. There's cars that were swept away, roads that were closed, flood emergencies were put out by the National Weather Service. The good news is this system is exiting your area. You can see it's starting to exit New Mexico, but it's going to have one more day of mischief up its sleeves, because there is the threat today for some severe weather across Oklahoma, portions of Kansas, and even extreme south Nebraska. More on that in just a few moments. Taking a look here at the National Weather Service radar, you can see there is still some showers, even some thunderstorm activity with this. Not seeing anything severe just yet. Looks like there is a special weather statement now out on one of the cells with this. And then to the northwest, you can see winter weather advisories, because there is a wintry side of this just to the northwest of Denver, Colorado. In the Pacific Northwest, we continue to see showers, which are the theme for Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Seattle. You're seeing some showers. And then the rest of the country is really quiet. There may just be a couple of showers in Florida, but we're not talking about anything major. And this system that is in the central region now, I'm telling you, by the time it gets to the northeast, there's going to be hardly any moisture left with it. Taking a look at the national hazards, you can't get much more quiet than this, where you do see the winter weather advisories up in Colorado. Let's take a look at what's going on with the national air qualities. Last night, the air qualities across the United States, I'm telling you, they got really bad. We could use a weather system to sweep through here and clean out some of this air. Because take a look at this. From Chicago straight on down to the Mid-South and Louisiana, there's a lot of yellows. Even in the Northeast, we're starting to see yellows, a lot of oranges on the West Coast, even a few reds and purples mixed in California. Yeah, that's not a good thing. If you have air purifiers in your home, it would be a good idea to run them if you're in the areas of bad air quality. In the mountainous regions of the U.S., in the Rocky Mountains, not terrible, but there are a few yellow areas mixed in. Remember, greens are good, yellows are fair, oranges are not good, and then reds and purple are just really bad. All right, taking a look now at the latest from what is now Tropical Storm Oscar. Yes, and let's refresh this for the 11 o'clock numbers just in. Oscar, which did impact portions of Cuba, and it provided very heavy rainfall. It made landfall as a hurricane. Very heavy rainfall, winds. It has weakened to 40 miles per hour. Its minimum pressure is 1001 millibars. It's going to be making that turn that it has been expected to do. It has already started to do so. It's going to continue to turn, go over portions of the Bahamas, where you can see here tropical storm watches and tropical storm probably will get upgraded to warnings. Tropical storm watches and warnings are out, but to the northwest side, there are just watches, and we'll have to see. It may increase winds, maybe get back up to 45 or 50 miles per hour, but not expecting anything big to happen from this. And taking a look here at this, this is just a satellite picture from yesterday. You can see as Oscar made landfall, it was relatively impressive, though very small, a microscopic system. You can see now today it's much less organized, but it's going to get back over water. So it may have a few hours to either maintain itself or maybe increase in intensity ever so slightly before turning northeast, and eventually it will fizzle over the next couple of days. And let's just take a look at the current satellite picture, and you can see here, yeah, it's not really that organized at all. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back up about 5 miles per hour or so, but if it doesn't, that wouldn't surprise me either, because the presentation of Oscar at the moment is not very impressive, and it is a very small system. Of course, we are watching a drought situation in the United States, aside from the southeast, unless you're in the South Carolina or Georgia Atlantic coast. It is really dry all across the United States. We're now up to severe drought just to the east of me in South Jersey. And there was a forest fire this weekend in portions of New Jersey. Of course, we're going to see ongoing fire situation in the west. And you can see here that not too bad in California. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That could worsen because the modeling is not showing a lot of precipitation for southern California. All right, taking a look at the Weather Prediction Center for the next 1 through 7 days. Yeah, unless you are in the Pacific Northwest, where unsettled weather will continue for several days in Seattle, Oregon, Idaho, maybe even extreme Northern California. Other than that, we're not talking about a lot of precipitation. And this precipitation you see in the midsection of the country, you know, from Oklahoma, Nebraska, over towards Chicago, a lot of that is from that little system today, which is going to be losing its energy probably tonight, and the rest of the country. Yeah, look at this. Pennsylvania, just a few drops. That's from a cold front that may provide sprinkles and just a little bit of precipitation in Florida. All right, Storm Prediction Center time. There is a slight risk of severe weather today across portions of Nebraska and even into portions of Kansas. And then surrounding that, there is a marginal risk that extends down into Oklahoma. 2% threat of tornado at this time. Can't rule out an isolated tornado. Wind and hail is the biggest threat for today. Let's take a look at the HRRR model. We used the 12Z run, and you can see here that system will lose its punch a little bit, but then you can see a little bit of instability gets going, and that does cause for there to be some evening thunderstorms in this area. You can see up in Nebraska and portions of Kansas, some strong to severe storms do get going, and it's possible, again, there could be an isolated tornado with this, but look what happens as we head overnight. This really starts to just lose its precipitation. Chicago, just a few sprinkles. Up in Wisconsin and Minnesota, you may see a period of rain because you're closer to an area of low pressure that is up in Canada. But as I advance this, yeah, here's the frontal system right here, and you can see hardly any moisture or precipitation with this. Let's switch over to the NAM now, and I want to show you the temperatures for the next couple of days. And you can see here, temperatures for today. We're talking about temperatures that will get into the 70s and 80s across the area where there is severe weather today, and mid-80s across portions of Texas for today. Then as we head into Tuesday, you can see here, things really warm up. Look at southeast Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Yes, isolated 80s, and there could be a southwest wind. I'm concerned about forest and wildfires just because it is so dry in that area. And take a look at this. Yeah, look near Oklahoma and Texas where they meet. This, you're not being fooled here. That is isolated 90 degrees for Tuesday. I know it's October 21st, but yes, there could be once again a day of 90s, and Wednesday will probably be another warm day in the east before we will see a cool down that could come in for the second half of the week for the Northeast, and you will see definitely cold conditions up in the Pacific Northwest because you're going to continue to be in that unsettled pattern. But look in the south as we head into Thursday. It's the end of the NAM model run. already warm weather is building once again, and you see 80s all the way up into Kansas, almost even into Nebraska. Now let's go over to the GFS, and you're going to see here, not a lot of action going on. There's what's left of Oscar down there exiting the Bahamas later this week, and eventually Oscar is going to try to develop some sort of a low pressure system, non-tropical. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, and if it does, it's staying well east of the East Coast. And here's that trough that's going to come into the Northeast and provide some somewhat cooler weather for the weekend, but then there will be another push that comes through on Saturday. That trough, it's really only going to last one day. Brief warm up on Friday, and then a bigger push of cooler air will come in on Saturday. And you can see, as we get to Saturday on the GFS, look at the Pacific Northwest. It continues to be unsettled. That's where the unsettled weather is going to remain for the majority of this week. As we head into next week, you may notice a slight change. You do see some showers down in Florida. And then you do note over the Great Lakes, there is this boundary that kind of sets up, but it doesn't move a lot. It pushes back north and area of low pressure forms. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Could that become a shower and thunderstorm threat? It is possible because there will be some warm, moist air ahead of that, but again, on the East Coast, very dry. Drought conditions are going to continue to get worse in the Northeast, and of course now we're coming into the very long range, but I might as well show this to you. Hardly even a drop of rain in the east until you get to the very end of the GFS, which is totally unreliable. Let me show you its ensemble and the thinking from that. You can see here, this ridge in the east, it is going to continue. You can also note that upper level low that brought all that mess to New Mexico over the weekend. Look how it just pretty much fizzles out. Here comes that trough on Thursday, then a brief warm up, then here comes that second trough, which does provide a cool push of air, and you will have some really cold morning lows. New England probably around the freezing mark. The rest of the country, look at this. Already, there's another ridge that is going to set up, and warm air is going to push back into the east, but you can see the Pacific Northwest will stay below average for temperatures as things will continue to be very unsettled. I mean, right into next week, you can see on the ensemble of the GFS, the GEFS, here is painting that it is going to be an unsettled pattern and a cooler than average pattern, while we have this dry pattern in the east. And yeah, there could be a southwest flow. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that because, as you know, any winds, low humidity, dry pattern, wildfire potential does exist. So there should not be any controlled burns or anything like that. Sometimes I know here in Pennsylvania, last couple of years, there have been a few controlled burns at this time of year. Now is not the time for that because it is just really dry and not going to be all that active down in the southeast. All right, let's take a look at the Climate Prediction Center. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. We are seeing that temperatures are going to be above average for the majority of the country. Maine, you're going to be near normal, and then near normal in the Pacific Northwest, but you do see that below average shade up in Washington. And we do see below average in portions of Alaska, above average for Hawaii, 6 to 10 day precipitation. What can I say? Slightly above average in Florida, below average from Maine, all the way back across New York City, Philadelphia, West Virginia, Dallas, Texas, even into New Mexico, back to below average for you, and well above average Pacific Northwest. 8 to 14 days, below average temperatures in the west, and we can see near normal temperatures in Alaska, above average in Hawaii, and well, take a look at this. The biggest center of the above average temperatures is over the Great Lakes. There's going to be that ridge that just parks itself over the northeast next week, and really over much of the east next week. And going back real quickly, slightly above average precipitation, 6 to 10 day for Alaska and Hawaii, and maybe southern Alaska, just slightly below average. Now to the 8 to 14 day precipitation. Yeah, well below average precipitation in the east. Some areas are going to have their record driest October ever, and I think that's definitely happening here. I don't know that I've recorded even 1/100th of an inch of rainfall this month. Yeah, that's pretty insane here for northeast Philadelphia where I live. And taking a look at 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, you can see slightly above average. That storm system I showed you on the GFS may set up in the plains, and there could be some severe weather out ahead of that. But for the most part, it's going to be really quiet in the east and just the Pacific Northwest. You will have some mountain snows, and you will also have some heavy rainfall that does occur with those events, and slightly above average precipitation for Florida. As for the tropics in the long range, I do think we will see a couple more named systems. Is the United States done for the season? I can't say no to that, but I also can't say yes. We'll just have to see how things play out. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Monday weather update. We will have another weather update again, maybe tomorrow or maybe on Wednesday. If you want to follow me when I'm not doing these updates, two ways you can really do that is over on X at Climate Data Report and over on Blue Sky, where I also do post as well. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, have a fantastic Monday afternoon, subscribe down below, give this a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.